Flora recognizes my good friend from California and son of the leader who last balanced our budget. Part of that group that last balanced our budget, Mr. Jimmy Panetta.
Thanks, Blake. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Chair Womack, I completely agree with you, and that's something that obviously that I heard plenty of times from that swarthy Italian that's depicted in that portrait over there, is that everything needs to be on the table. I completely agree with you. The problem is, and what I've seen in my limited time here, and what I try to convince my father, is that I do believe it, despite some brains that are in this room, we have lost the art of legislating. We have not got to the point where we've really given that time needed to develop the policy upon which then we can educate the people. And that has a lot to do with leadership and so many other things that we can go on and on about. But I think that really is to our detriment, because when we don't have policy to rely on, then we're left with politics. And we don't have that will to lean in to the policy. And politics sort of dictates what we do. So that is why I'm a firm believer in the Fiscal Commission. It is why I am concerned about our increasing debt and deficits, and I'm committed to working across the aisle to put our country on the path to fiscal responsibility. And like Chairman Yarmouth said, and like many of you are stating, there just isn't the political will to get our fiscal house in order when we use regular order, unfortunately. You got Democrats who are opposing spending cuts, you got Republicans who are opposing tax increases, and we end up increasing our spending and passing tax cuts and ballooning our deficits. Meanwhile, we have a lack of action to shore up our trust funds. It means that we're facing steep cuts to Social Security and Medicaid in a decade. That's why I'm a strong supporter of the commission. That's why I am proud to introduce the legislation that Scott and Bill put together in regards to this commission and as members of the Bipartisan Fiscal Forum. And I do want to make something clear. As we heard, I do think everything should be on the table, and that includes revenue. The United States is a low-tax country, ranking 32nd out of 38th in OECD countries in terms of tax to GDP ratio. I just think we'll never come to an agreement if we take one half of that equation, revenue, off the table. Now, Brian Riddell, Manhattan Institute, said something that I believe in, that commissions can be useful if both parties are truly committed to achieving an outcome rather than just checking the box. And I think, unfortunately, the way we legislate or don't legislate these days is we just check the box. And that's why I think we need to have this commission to help us get past the politics and help us actually focus on policies that will affect the future. I'm out of time. I do have questions, but I will yield back.